Welcome back to the What on Earth podcast. We are
Tika.
and Veronica, and today's episode is gonna be a little different. Instead of diving deep into volcanoes and planets and minerals and mysteries of the Earth, we thought we are finally answering question some of you might already have. Who actually are we? And what brought us into earth science? And what does a career in this field even look like? And how on earth did we end up starting a podcast together? So today we are turning the microphones on each other and we'll be interviewing one another about our backgrounds and studies, the weird and wonderful paths that led us here, and some things we wish we had known earlier about career in science. Because earth science is just not one path. In reality, this field connects everything from volcanoes and climate, gemstones, oceans, planetary exploration, laboratory work, field exploration, industry, research, and even science communication, like this podcast. So whether you're already studying science, thinking about it, or are you just curious about what we actually do outside of reading books and watching movies, we hope this episode gives you a little behind-the-scene look into both of our journeys and the many different directions earth science can take you. So grab your tea and let's dive in. Tika, I just want to know, what is your background? Tell us everything.
Yes. So that's actually, I think we're going to start with like the beginning. When I decided on a career path, I actually always wanted to be a dentist. I don't know if you knew this, but I was dead set on being a dentist. Then I discovered that you had to like get a ticket to be able to study this and like in the lottery and do all these tests. And I really tried, but I didn't get in. And I was like, damn, I need a second chance.
Is that normal in Netherlands that you have to get a ticket? How does it even work?
It's like there's only a finite amount of space per study field or study course. And if there's way more people signing in, then actually there are places, then you have to like either do a lottery or do it like exam or a test. So I didn't pass the test and then I didn't pass the lottery. So I was like, I need a plan B. And then a friend of mine was actually interested in earth science. I didn't even know that was a study. And I always liked like the earth science course we have in high school. I'm not sure, geography, I think it's called in high school. The teacher was very cool that we had. So I was like, well, let's go have a look. I'll study it for a year and then I'll try dentistry again. Spoiler alert, I never tried dentistry again because earth science was way too fun. So yeah, that's how I started studying earth science. It was a complete coincidence, actually. And it turned out to be more of a passion than I thought it would be.
Where did you do your bachelor? Because we know each other from masters, right? From Sweden. So how did you begin with?
Yeah, true. So I'm from the Netherlands, and I started studying earth science at Utrecht University in 2014. Was it 2014? Yeah, that's a long time ago. I'm getting old. Yeah, it was 2014, and I did my bachelor's for 4 years. Usually it's 3 years, but I took some extra courses because I wanted to do a minor in biology as well. Because I was like instantly interested in more in climate and old life, paleontology, and I also wanted to know more about ecology and biology. So I took some extra courses, and that took some extra time.
And you said that instantaneously you kind of got drawn into the biology. Was it because also you wanted to be a dentist originally, so you had already some prior knowledge about biology?
Biology was always an interest of mine. I love animals, and we always had a lot. I grew up on like a farm type of place, so we always had a lot of animals and nature around us, which was fascinating to me. I wanted to know more about how that worked and how that existed together in a way. So the ecology and like the bigger picture, that was my interest from the start. And also that was actually quite good because I'm not very good at math or physics, and the other fields in earth science are very physics, math heavy. So it was like a combination. Like the one was like I'm interested in the workings of stuff. I'm just not very good at models and calculations.
But anyway, still like paleoclimate and paleontology also heavily like relies on like statistics, right? From what I understand.
I think I avoided these courses mostly. I think I've been smart about it somehow. Uh, in at Utrecht University, it's more statistics. Yes, definitely. There are more data heavy, model heavy. But I'll take a leap to Uppsala University where we met. So I did my master's there. And in Uppsala University, it's less like for hardcore data science, but more concept science, if that makes sense. So more
Yeah.
thinking about how do all the systems work together and building theories on that.
So you studied abroad, right? Because of course you're Dutch, and we met in Uppsala. How did you decide to study abroad, do your master abroad?
Oh, that was the hardest decision of my life, I think, because I've always been a very homesick person. So for me, studying somewhere else in Utrecht was a giant leap, definitely. Um, but at Utrecht University, my view of the masters there, you could do like 5 paths of earth science masters. So I would do climate and earth service climate, I think the masters is called. Um, and as far as I knew, I'm not sure if that's correct because I didn't do the master, but it's more ocean paleontology, ocean data from these small foraminifers and all those critters. And I was more interested in terrestrial big animals. And the recommendation I got was to go to Uppsala University because you also have the evolutionary biology center there. So the master's is like you could do courses from um, evolutionary biology as well. So it's not just earth science, but also more biology, which is where my interest already was. So I could combine the two more over there. And then the master's I did at Uppsala University has 2 versions as well. So you could do the one I did, that is 2 years in Sweden, in Uppsala, but you also have the one where you start first half a year in Lille, which is extra international. I don't know. They work together with the University of Lille. But I'm glad I didn't do that because my heart wouldn't have survived 2 places and 2 times meeting new people and stuff. I'm actually very introverted, so for me being uh, outgoing on this channel, on this podcast, is actually, yeah, it's a leap. Yeah.
What I was about to ask, because you don't seem very introverted now, because this has been a journey, right? Like you had to take all those small leap of faith, which is like leaving your country and settling down in different university and meeting new people from different cultures. What did you like about it? Or was it instantaneous fall in love with Uppsala, or was it more like a gradual, slow burning romance?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I've always been crazy about Sweden. We went on holiday a lot with my family, so I kind of knew it was a good country for me to like test my boundaries a bit. The first half year was terrifying. I felt very alone because, well, not really alone, but yeah, a bit lost. Because I was trying to like build this new life, and it takes a while. So I have mad respect for everyone doing like this half year exchange program because for me it only got good after half a year. And we had an amazing group of international students because we were from all different countries. It was not just Swedes and me, which made it easier to like talk in this group because the only common language we had, all of us, was English. And I was all right at English because my whole bachelor was in English as well, mostly. So that was advantageous. I actually wanted to quit after half a year because I was missing home so much, but I had a holiday planned, which is a fun story. I was going to go to Lapland with a few friends, And I was thinking, well, I'll go back, do the holiday, and then quit. But then when I got back, you guys were all there, and it was so much fun to see everyone again. And I was like, nah, I can sit this one out. And then actually, then it got better. It got so much fun.
Yeah, because I remember we got together, like we met quite early on during the semester, right? And then we just took advantage of your prime location of your apartment for all the parties.
I was lucky. Yeah, I was in the middle of the city center in this old hotel building. I had a room. Actually, one of our classmates was like 2 doors over, so some of these people were already meeting there, and then we joined, and then somehow it got into this quite tight group of
Yeah,
earth scientists. Yeah,
we just didn't allow you to be introverted. We just were like, no, Tika, you belong to us.
I got sucked in. Yeah, yeah, and it's good I did because I got so much better from it. Yeah.
So, what is your favorite memory from that time?
Ooh. Oh, there are so many. I think my favorite one is celebrating Valborg together. So Valborg is this like river festival in Sweden that they celebrate on the 1st of May. So celebrations start at 30th of April, and then everyone gathers around in the city and parties. And then the 1st of May, they build these rafts and then go down the river in all these like home self-built rafts. And I remember we had built a raft like our group. I was not on the raft or in the building group, but I was like in the friend group of these people, and they made a flat earth raft. That was amazing. Like the building alone was so fun. And then the morning of, you start like watching the rafts, and then you go for champagne breakfast, I think it's called.
Champagne strawberry.
Yeah, I remember the strawberries. And we were just having the time of our lives and then watching these rafts. And it was sunny very early on in Sweden that year. Yeah,
Yeah,
just building something together. That
that
was
was
fun.
a good day. It started very nice. The end of it's a bit blurry because of all the champagne.
I remember skipping through a park with a pizza in my hand, being very happy about having pizza. So it was perfect. Yeah, and just being there, enjoying it together with this new friend group. Yeah,
And
pretty cool.
after Sweden, you decided to come back, right? And do a second master. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes. So halfway through my master's in Sweden, I decided I didn't want to go into academia, because that requires moving around a lot, depending on what university you get money from, what PhD or postdoc you go to. And if you remember from like 5 minutes ago, that is not my strong suit. That life is not like good for me. That would be way too stressful. So I decided I wasn't gonna continue in academia and then work. So I found a job back in the Netherlands. I moved back after 2 years, found a job, worked for full time for a year. Actually hated it because working full time at a desk job was horrible for me. So I decided I wanted to study a bit more, and see if there is more to it, because I still loved science. I really wanted to like do more with science, but more in a broad way, in a broad sense. Because if you start a PhD or research, usually you zoom in on a very tiny bit of science and you go very deep, you go very specialized into a topic, which I admire. Some people going like above and beyond to find out one thing. But I like to tell stories. I like the bigger picture of science and combining multiple disciplines into one big story of explanation, um, more like documentary style, if that's a good comparison. So I decided to start studying science education and communication to see if I could help bridge the gap between science and society and actually tell these stories that the scientists try to tell, but tell in a very weird way.
Did you find scientists a bit more like hard to get, or what was your initial thought? Why science communication? Like, did you notice that during you doing your university and when you were dealing with like professors and postdocs and PhDs, did you find that they just don't necessarily come across as people well understood, or?
Yeah, I think scientists are very good at communicating with other scientists. We talked about this in the first episode. There's this whole language in every aspect of science that they are very well at communicating with each other. But I could also see from society, because I grew up in this small town on the countryside, I knew from people that they had a hard time understanding what was happening in science because no one explained it in a normal way or in a fitting way for these people. So I saw this gap in knowledge, especially we had a lot of farmer protests in the Netherlands about nitrogen excretion from farms and all these like environmental norms. And no one explained how it's happening, especially with climate change as well. No one really got people to grasp what was actually happening in science. And I wanted to contribute to the general understanding and also making science less of a taboo or a far away kind of thing. We have this saying in the Netherlands, like a far from my bed show, which makes no sense in English, but I'm hoping you guys understand what I mean. It's so far away from what you know or what you get that it's hard to grasp, and I want to make that gap a little bit smaller.
So it also involves like policy making, right? Was like your thought maybe going into politics or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. I was more thinking of like museum building, either making exhibitions or doing some social media, website, blog, or YouTube video kind of stuff. So more media, more popular science. My dream is to one day write an article for one of these popular science magazines or work on a documentary.
That's cool.
It's every girl's dream, right? To work with like someone as David Attenborough or something.
Yeah. Or just be featured in National Geographic or stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, I had like piles of the yellow National Geographic magazines. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Working on those things, that would have been a dream. So far, it didn't happen yet, but who knows?
Who knows?
Call me.
You know. You started a podcast. Hey, this is...
Hey, we did. we started somewhere.
A podcast. Yeah, and you are kind of originated of this idea, right? Of having a podcast because you already had your Facebook website when you were posting small articles in Dutch. And then I was like, hey, they are, like I don't speak Dutch, but I would still like to read them. And then maybe we can work it out something together. So
yeah, true. I started this because I already knew in Sweden that I didn't want to continue in academia. I was looking into science communication already. So I started this like Facebook page and wrote a short like 500-word article or news fact or snippet explaining earth science every week for a while. I think I clung to it for like 1.5 or 2 years, which is like for me it's impressive.
That's impressive commitment.
I'm usually a quitter. Especially when I don't think people find it interesting or I forget easily. So that's actually where the podcast idea started. And then you got involved. Like it was a good reason for us to hang out a bit more, even after studying. And it's actually a good thing because you were way more structured. And we both have our own like specialties, as you will hear in the episode where I interview you. We are very different in background and in specialty, which actually works well together, I think. Also, you have a very different personality from me, which is beneficial.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a very good mix because like I have a big personality which can often create problems, but you're the water to my fire. So I think it's very nice.
The yin and yang.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember vividly your master defense in Uppsala. And that was the moment when I was like, whoa, girl, like you know how to tell stories. because the way you were explaining, and I don't remember everything, but I remember you were talking about like early humans, right? And is that the topic which makes your like brain ache? Or is it your favorite topic, or was it just assigned to you? Because I really remember when I was listening to you, I was like, this girl loves what she's doing.
Yeah, that's true. I did both my bachelor's thesis and master thesis on human evolution. Um, and it's something, yeah, that really interests me. Also because I can imagine it. Like it's so recent. Well, geologically recent, depends on how you define recent. But it like humans only lived like human type species lived from like 6 million years ago till now. And I can imagine how that went, how it happened because, well, obviously I'm human, so it's relatable in a way, and also it's interesting because in human evolution there's all these egos thinking of their own discoveries and really wanting to be important and seen, um, and I like to like look behind the curtain and see what's actually there. Um, and not believing everyone at first hand, and seeing it for myself, seeing where it's what's true and what's just ego, which is really fun. It's
So
a
like,
drama.
so you know a lot about scientists beefing with each other. That sounds like another episode.
There's a lot of beef in science, and it's truly horrendous sometimes how people treat each other.
Yeah, yeah. But what is the like in a human evolution? There's so many different topics because it's also sometimes traced to not only paleontology but also archaeology, right? Is there any specific very very niche thing you like about it, or you just are very much generalist?
Yeah, I think I'm more generalist. For my bachelor thesis, I researched the evolution of cooperation in humans, so working together and how that evolved, because not a lot of species work together in a similar way humans do today. So I was curious where that came from. So I think it's also a bit of psychology, sociology that goes into it, understanding people. And then for my master's, yeah, how do you say it in short? I looked at bipedality in humans, so walking on two legs versus walking on four legs, and how that evolved over time, and if that coincided with climate change, because that was the theory always, that once like the Serengeti opened up and the savannas got more prevalent instead of forests, that humans started walking because that was a new niche to be discovered. But I discovered it was actually the other way around. So humans started walking before all of it opened up, which is like super interesting to me. Like, how does that work? What the implications of those coincidences or coinciding events interest me more, the reasoning behind it, like why and how the big picture
Yeah,
works,
so like
the way it works.
the influence of environment on humans, or whether the humans influence the environment, right? The early humans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's super cool.
Like the whole ecology, the big picture of
And
it.
how do you find the transition? Because you were really deep into, let's say, research topics which are not necessarily applicable to every day. And how did you make the transition between topics which are more or less passion into applying your knowledge into industry? Because you worked for a soil company, as far as I remember. And
Yeah.
then, like, how did you find yourself going from passion to 9 to 5? And then, is there any pros and cons? Can you compare it for me?
Yeah, so the transition was pretty hard for me at first, because I do not work when people tell me to work, basically. And that's not like a power struggle or something. It's just when it's a little bit of ADHD, I think. When people tell me to do or work at the certain hour for 8 hours productively, that's just hard. So sitting at a desk, like sitting still, watching the screen was pretty hard. So I did a lot of field work as well. Um, in the I think it's environmental advisor, you call it in English. So researching soil to see if we can reuse it in the Netherlands. It's a pretty big industry because we are a small country and we want to use all land efficiently. So we kind of have to be more strict about these norms and rules. So I did a lot of field work to counteract this, like sitting still, being frustrated behind the screen time. But actually, I also like the 9 to 5 because in science and in education, you're never done. Like you can never stop working. Basically, there's always more to do. Um, and at a job, it's just like at 5 you're done. You close your screen and you go home and enjoy life instead of being stressed all the time. Um, which was a welcome change. Um, but actually, my job, it was interesting for a while, but I noticed I needed a bit more of my own. So when I started studying after the first year, I got to do a presentation because my job was paying for my studies. I got to do a presentation about what I was actually doing, and then um, I think it was the director of something. He said to me, like, don't you want to start doing social media and website stuff? And I was like, hell yes, more media stuff. Let's do it. So that actually got me into being more of a media person. And then last year, our company got like bought by a bigger investment company. And they actually looked for more recruitment marketing jobs or people. So I'm actually doing that now as well. So I have kind of three jobs, and oh, that's fun. I'm doing so many different things. Yeah.
That's really, I mean, that's a transition because like you went from paleobiology to soil to social media and outreach. I mean, that's kind of ties everything what you did and what you study, because science communication and then biology and paleoclimate and soil climate, I guess.
Yeah.
Vaguely connected, but still the earth science is
Yeah.
there. And just question, like, for the future, would you consider going back to science or not really?
No, I don't think it's for me. No. I mean, I don't want to discredit science because it's so beautiful, and I just want to tell the stories. I want to interview other people and hear them rave about their science and be super happy, and then me translating it into something that other people can read and get excited about. I think that's more my role, gathering all this information, gathering the excitement, and then leaving other people do the science. Yeah.
That's really well put and beautifully said. So one last question. What would be your advice for people going into earth science?
Be open to change paths, I would say. Because you can think something is interesting and then do a course on it and think, well, that's not really what I wanted to do. Um, so please be open. Do as many courses as you can in the time you have, because for me, it wasn't a very filled curriculum. I had a lot of time to do other stuff. I did like board years and a lot of committees of everything, and I worked 3 jobs, I think. So I had a lot of extra time I could have spent on doing more courses. Also, extracurricularly, I did one course in philosophy because it was just interesting to me. So also, like, take your time and do all these things, and then we'll see what comes up. Don't be too rigid about your path.
So do side quests.
Yes. Always do the side quests. Those are my favorite.
Cool. Thank you, Tika. And yeah, I think we will finish here with part 1, let's say. Let's split it into 2 parts. And we will hear you very soon with the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Let me leave and save. Stop.